Hello, back here for a very awesome daily Bible reading. Today we have Genesis chapter 14, and I'm pretty excited about this one. It's called Abram, excuse me, it's not Abraham yet, rescues Lot. And I think this is a pretty epic book of Genesis where the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah are absolutely destroyed by God and his wrath. And even though it's scary, it is pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy chapter, so I'm excited to get into it, and hopefully my memory has served me correct, and that is what happens. As for the day, I had an amazing day today. I had kind of a late Thanksgiving celebration at my grandmother's house. I saw my uncle, my aunt, and my first cousins, and it was great seeing them. Really love those guys, and it was just a amazing time with family. So I'm feeling great, and I'm excited to get into this chapter, and maybe I'll even share some other thoughts after. So let's get into Genesis chapter 14. Abram rescues Lot. At the time when Amraphel was king of Shinar, Aroic king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim. These kings went to war against Bera king of Sodom, Bersha king of Gomorrah, Shinab king of Admah, Shember king of Zemboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zoar. All these latter kings joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is, the Dead Sea Valley. For 12 years they had been subject to Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and all the kings allied with him went out and defeated the Rephaites in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzites in Ham, the Emites in Shaveh Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the hill country of Sher, as far as El Paran near the desert. Then they turned back and went to En Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, and they conquered the whole territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites, who were living in the Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Aroich, king of Elasar. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some of the men fell into them, and the rest fled to the hills. The 4 kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their food. Then they went away. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since he was living in Sodom. A man who had escaped came and reported this to Abram the Hebrew. Now, Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner, all of whom were allied with Abram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken captive, he called out the 318 trained men born in his household and went in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his men to attack them, and he routed them, pursuing them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. He recovered all the goods and brought back his relative Lot and his possessions, together with the women and the other people. After Abram returned from defeating Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. Then King Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. he was priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, with raised hand, I have sworn an oath to the Lord God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or the strap of a sandal, so that you will never be able to say, I made Abram rich. I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten, and the share that belongs to the men who went with me, to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them have their share. Okay, so that was actually it for chapter 14. So I was wrong. Sodom and Gomorrah lived to see another day for now. They were not destroyed in this chapter. Basically, all that happened was in the war of the 9 kings, 4 verses 5, Lot ended up having all his possessions taken in the aftermath and was taken prisoner, but was promptly rescued by Abram and his 318 trained men. Then, who was talking to Abram? I believe, the king of Sodom basically tries to, big brother Abram and give him a bunch of stuff as bait so he can kind of have something over him. But Abram wisely listens to God and refuses because he doesn't want to be in his debt. So that is a quick synopsis of this chapter. Maybe I'll start doing summaries after chapters more just to kind of even drill them into my own head. And yeah, that is awesome. So now we're going to make it to Genesis chapter 15 tomorrow, which is the Lord's covenant with Abram. Should be very exciting. As for some just general life advice, I think for today, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the importance of finding joy and happiness in the little things in everyday life. I think today, especially in the age of social media, we see so many people with these grand achievements that are advertised. And a lot of the times we can fall in the trap of thinking that, people's lives are just supposed to be exciting all the time and dynamic and crazy things are supposed to be happening. Like you're supposed to be buying new cars all the time, new homes, promotions, being in love, dating new people, going to places, XYZ, all these things. But that's not the reality of life, and I don't think that's what we're called to do by God. Life is boring sometimes, and that's fine. And we weren't here to necessarily do what the world's definition of having a good life is. We're supposed to do what God has called us to do, which is live in meekness. When, not even close to the New Testament, but I'm much more familiar with the New Testament than the Old, partly, which is why I'm excited about reading the Old Testament first as we go in order. But God calls us to be meek and to be humble and to understand that we're not guaranteed necessarily happiness even in this life, but we have to make the best of things. So I think finding happiness in little things is so important. I know for me, having a cup of coffee every morning is, that hot cup of coffee, even if everything else in the day is bad, is just so amazing. Beautiful sunlight shining through a window, just going outside, taking a walk, just little things like that to just make you happy. And I think when you can be happy with all the little things, no one can take that away from you. If you're just happy because of big things, all of a sudden, things don't go so well, and your mood was entirely dependent on these grand victories that are now no more. But if you can find happiness in the little things, then I think that's true happiness. And most of all, find happiness in the Lord and your walk with Jesus Christ and God. So that's it for today. I hope all you had an amazing Thanksgiving. Whoever watches this, I know no one watches now, maybe people will watch later. Either way, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And we're about to head into the holiday season. I'm super excited. And yeah, thank you so much. Have an amazing night.